Standing here, I can feel my heart racing and my palms sweating. This feeling isn't just stage fright, it's biology. A single hormone in my body is deciding whether I can stand here with courage or freeze with fear. That hormone is called cortisol. It's also known as the fear hormone or the stress hormone. It regulates glucose metabolism and is released in response to stress. In short, it's your built-in survival tool. And if a tiger walked in here right now, cortisol would save your life. But if you're using it for daily life, such as school and work, then there's a problem. Fear may work in the short term, but cortisol was never supposed to be your coach. For me, this story starts with math. I used to be very good at it, but over time, slowly, I started dreading it. This wasn't because of the numbers. It wasn't because they got harder. It was because of the fear that was attached to them. The fear of failure, the fear of disapproval, the fear that was stitched into me the way math was taught to me. And it wasn't all in my head the way I thought it was. This feeling, this fear was biological. Cortisol doesn't just make you feel stressed. It makes you lose your confidence, your memory, motivation, and even your willingness to try in the first place. But something changed with me after my 11th grade exams. My aunt invited me to stay with her as part of my summer holidays. And this was the first time I went there without my parents or even my sister. To me, she is an idol. And she's like a second mother for me. And in her space, I felt really happy and I finally loosened up. And when I finally came back from that break, I realized I was a different person. I realized that I was more stable, more collected. And looking back now, I think my cortisol levels must have finally dipped. Which brings me back to math. Because shortly after that break, I came back to give an assessment, and for the first time in a very long time, I finally pulled myself back up and I got extremely good grades. This wasn't magic. It wasn't even hard work, because I know I didn't work any much harder. It was because of biology. A calmer body gave me the ability to learn, to focus, and to perform. A meta-analysis in Frontiers in Psychology found out that cortisol levels increase by 50 to 100% during exams. This impairs the students' emotional regulation and their mental stability. And this causes the students' performance, persistence, and GPA to drop. Cortisol is a survival hormone. It's not a learning hormone. In times of stress, it sharpens your focus, but when it's the baseline way you live and learn, it does the opposite. Now, there's different doses of cortisol that you should know about, and the first one is high cortisol. High cortisol interferes with your memory consolidation and suppresses your neural plasticity. Now, this complicated word means that it alters your brain's ability to adapt, grow, and form new connections in your brain. And this can lead to burnout twice as faster as usual. The second type of cortisol is short-term cortisol. And this one happens, I'm sure this one happens much more often because you'll feel it when you're studying for an exam and you're taking in all the information, and when you sit to give the exam, you suddenly blank. There's nothing in your brain. That's the work of short-term cortisol. Now, there's ways to fix both. While high cortisol levels are harder to fix in your control because, for me, I had to take a vacation. Your parents can handle that. But short-term cortisol is in your control, although it does need some dedication. To avoid the feeling in exams, you need to revise. I know this is very cliche, but you need to revise days before consistently to eliminate the negative impacts of short-term cortisol. Finally, the third and the boss is chronic cortisol. The word chronic meaning it happens again and again. A psychoneuroendocrinology study showed that chronic cortisol, when accumulated, leads to allostatic load in your body. This means that there's a wear and tear of stress going on in your body. And a neuroscience article from 2018 also states that chronic cortisol can lead to a reduction in the size of the hippocampus by 14%. Now, this word hippocampus is really funny, and it's also very important. It is the part of your brain that is connected to memory and learning. And once these two things happen, once your hippocampus is small and you have allostatic load, you will have problems with avoidance, burnout, and maybe even imposter syndrome. Now, fear is very manipulative, and fear is often used in our daily lives, even if we do not realize it. It's embedded into our systems, and one system that's impacted me for my entire life, maybe for like 13 years of my life, is education systems. Now, this isn't a personal attack to that system, but education systems use deadlines, exams, and schedules to help learning. It's not against it, but sometimes the outcomes can be the opposite. Education systems that have realized that there are negative impacts to overwhelming their students have created counseling sessions, have started I've started counseling sessions for the students to reduce their cortisol levels, short-term, high cortisol levels, and maybe even chronic. This is common with workplaces and sports teams where they practice mental recovery techniques as well. Now, another system that induces cortisol is parenting styles. Parenting styles and cultures that glorify struggle also have an impact on cortisol levels. I saw the impact of cortisol levels on myself from my math story. My grades were declining from 6 out of 7 to 5 to 4. And right after the break, I came back a changed person. Now, I actually didn't change. Whatever I did change. All my habits were the same. What changed was I took a step back from the system that I was in. I took a step back from work. I took a step back from my usual life. And that helped me. Now, we can't just wake up one day and decide that, oh, I want a change in the system. I should go talk to some people in charge. It's not possible. It's very unrealistic. It's unreasonable to the people in charge. But we're very flexible, aren't we? We're all flexible people here. We can make changes in our own lives. So we can make changes in our own lives so that cortisol doesn't impact us in important times such as this and your exams. what I do, what usually I struggle with is meeting the deadlines. And what I usually do is I plan my day in the day itself. Doing this, ticking all the check boxes of just that day, not the entire week, just that day, helps you feel motivated because you have just tiny bit of tasks to do in that one day, and when it's all ticked off, you feel the motivation that, oh, I could do more, I have time, I have the energy. Another thing that I recommend is the change of scenery, just like how I did. This is for high cortisol levels. I went out, I came back, I was fine, I did well. Maths predictives are pretty good right now. And the last thing I would recommend, and I know a lot of people might not do this, but it's really helpful, have a logbook, a diary of some sort, a journal. I use this frequently. I write down what I'm stressed by, I write down why I'm scared, and I write down why it doesn't have to impact me. I write down why it doesn't affect me. I write down why I'm much bigger than that. There is a fine line between fear shaping you and fear shattering you. Understand that that line is very important because cortisol is absolutely not your coach. Thank you.